Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
It's your road to Rooda.com. I just posted the Jenny Moonstone discussion on the private road for yesterday, the coming Silver Task Force. Really interesting dive into how, as far as what we've analyzed, what I've analyzed is I do take into account psychics and tarot card readers and webbot predictions and astrology and everything I can get my hands on to get a better understanding of what's going on. But the most important thing about price of silver is the rigging, and that's the most important thing to understand. Everything else just is helpful. Even supply-demand numbers. I mean, it used to be I thought that was the most important thing, the supply-demand numbers. And then I found out and proved that they're rigged. The Silver Institute's lying. And why are they lying? Because silver is the most important metal on the planet, period, exclamation point. It is the most undervalued. It is all of those things that we love silver for, and that's why it has the largest short position of any commodity in human history. And they can't get out of it. They will have to shut down at some point the exchange, the COMEX, Futures and Options Exchange. Can they do that without causing chaos in the silver market? And then does chaos in the silver market cause the destruction of the unbacked fiat monetary system? It has to. And it does. And that's always been the plan. The plan was not to run unbacked fiat money forever. And the Road to Rooda documents clearly shows that. The plan was to run it as long as it benefits us, which we're at the end of now, us being the United States of America, who invented the computer programs to create the financial system we have today. And people talk about CBDC and stable coins and all that. The electronic money will put us in their grips. We're already in their grips. We're already in a financial system created from electronics with the buy-in from everybody who uses money today. The reality is it was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to prolong the inevitable end of fiat money and going back to gold and silver as money, because the United States has massive amounts of silver, billions and billions and billions of ounces. It's not 8,000 tons like the government tells us. It's not even the 220,000 tons that's ever been mined, according to Jeff Christian and the World Gold Council. It's a hell of a lot more than that, and that is the reason. That is the reason for the allowance of unbacked fiat money to pervade our life. And then that money turned into derivatives, and derivatives of derivatives, and then derivatives of derivatives of derivatives. And the derivative monster is $3 quadrillion big. There's no ending that game in a nice and safe and easy way. So I take all the information I can, most important being the manipulation information. Second most important is supply and demand. And then I draw from other entities. From the spiritual side, I do believe absolutely gold and silver are very spiritual metals, and they're meant to be. And all the other information and how much you put your weight on it depends on, what am I really trying to analyze? For me, I'm trying to analyze when the control will end and we'll have free markets in silver, because I don't think we can be free people without free markets. I know we can't. And we are not free now specifically because of the controllers who run the computer programs that rig the markets using computers and derivatives. It kind of goes round and round. So people are saying, oh, Bix, like John Claude tried to poke the bear with $600 silver. Cliff said we'll have $600 silver probably because of the new electrics. And then Jean-Claude put out a thing that says, Bix's rebuttal to $600 silver. I wasn't rebutting anything. I'm like, Cliff has always been a great data point. So is Jenny, and so is everybody else that I follow. It doesn't change the road to Rooda theory at all, that there's people behind the scenes looking to take out the banking cabal. And that's my theory, and that it didn't come from nowhere. It came from 25 years of study in this life. Yeah, I mean, in this livelihood that I have now at the Road to Rooda. And then 25 years of working for the banks and analyzing commodities. And, according to the traditional analysis of commodities, silver should be trading at a minimum of 3-to-1 with gold, at a minimum. But we've been coerced and lied to for so long. Everybody says, no, that's just too far away from where it is now, 88. You're losing credibility, Bix. If I had $1 for every time I heard that, I do actually. You're losing credibility. And then those people fade off and they come back later and say, well, maybe you're right about that. Oh, you're losing credibility. As for silver, I said it could go to minus $40 with a click of a mouse. They can put the price to minus $40. Will it stay there? Is it real? No, it's not real. But nothing we see today in the electronic markets is real. It's all fake. So we dive down deeper into the silver situation, especially with Musk and his take on silver. And then Jen and I talk about the fact that there cannot be a smooth transition. All that would mean is that we're kicking the can down the road farther. The $3 quadrillion in derivatives is exactly what Warren Buffett said it was, a weapon of mass financial destruction. Now, if you think you can get rid of a weapon of mass financial destruction in any way, let me know, because I don't know how that disappears. Please let me know in the comments. How do we get rid of $3 quadrillion in derivatives and go directly to a free market traded society? We don't. We can't. The only way to do that is to destroy the old system, destroy the derivative bubble. And it was purposefully not regulated for that specific reason, to blow that bubble so big such that when it pops, it takes everything down with it. And people see that as a bad thing. Hell no. That's the greatest thing that could possibly happen to humanity. Because our largest problem is debt. Poof, that debt's gone. One man's debt is another man's asset. Who owns the vast majority of those assets? The 99.9%. Who stole it? The criminals, the banksters, the cabal, and all that shit. Anyway, really, really exciting times. When you've been in this so long, you kind of get numb to everybody calling you, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God, I stopped following him so long ago. Do each his own, right? We all collect all the information we can get. We use our cognitive abilities to sort out what you believe, what you don't believe, what seems real, what seems like hopium, what seems... I mean, I have yet to meet a psychic or a webbot predictor or a remote viewer or a tarot card reader or astrologer or any of the other, quote, fringe proponents, I guess, of their craft that got everything right. Because you're not supposed to get everything right. This is, Cliff said, we're in the ontology. The future changes, always. And does it change back? Sure it does. It can change any which way. Every which way but loose. I used to love that movie. Anyway, go check out this discussion I have with Jenny about silver. It's a lot about silver, but we come a kind of roundabout way. And she's really tuned into what's going on behind the scenes of the comics, which I really like. And it makes sense to the Road to Rooda theory and everything else I study in, because I think the number one most important thing that you should weight heavily on is the fact that silver is manipulated. The silver price that you see is not what it really should be in a, quote, fair market exchange. Will we get back to that? Yeah, maybe. But it's been our whole lives. It's just more obvious now. And with the invention of computers or computer trading programs in the 60s and 70s by Alan Greenspan, the invention of the electronic monetary system, Alan Greenspan blames himself for creating Y2K. He put 2 digits instead of 4. It was a few others too, but he was the main guy. He was just an amazing computer programmer in the 1960s, and then the 70s, 80s, 90s. He was in charge of so much computer rigging. It boggles the mind. That's what Root A is, by the way. It's a computer programming term, not just a Federal Reserve Bank comic book. But if you don't understand what I'm talking about, I go to roadtoroota.com, go right to that the first page, the public road. Scroll down, pass all that really cool silver information, and there's a couple of videos. These 2 videos, the Secrets of the Fed and the Golden Oldies to a Crypto Future. Go check those out And it's not like I can say, oh, yes, this is what I believe because, I picked up my magic wand and said, no. But I take everything into account, everything I can. And I weight each piece of information, and then I tell you guys what I think it is. And I think it's a good way to go about it, because I try to teach you why I come to these conclusions, not just that, my mind told me, or, be a bull pony and said, God says silver's going to go to $1,000 on January 1st, 2026. I can't tell you how many times that guy's got it wrong. But it's up to you. I mean, you're the one placing the bet. I'm just another point of information. Anyway, go listen to those, and then listen to the 3-part interview with the head of Silver Eagle sales at the U.S. Mint, Jack Sermon. And I get him to confess, they're breaking every law in the book. The U.S. Mint still has no mint director, which I get that Trump doesn't want anybody in office that will get swept up in the melee of a market collapse destruction that's coming. And I guarantee you, he wants this to happen before the 250th birthday of the United States. And the good guys can make it happen. It's a click of a mouse or actually it's a stop clicking of the mouse. If you stop the manipulation, that's when the markets all collapse, because we are built on an edifice of lies. A big, big tower, the Tower of Babel. We're swaying this way and swaying that way, and you have derivatives holding up this side as it goes this way, and more derivatives holding up this side. That's how all markets work now. Computers and derivatives trading thousands of times the amount of the underlying asset. And those who are short are way over their skis. And, the best thing for them would be the COMEX to say, all right, we're stopping trading. We're going out of business. That's it. But they can't do that, because, then they'll get lawsuits and all that. So what do? They try to rig their way out of it. We will be getting the Commitment of Traders report later today. My guess is that they're not shorting the big 4 and the big 8. They're not shorting into, at least not to the extent, into the rise. Now, we had a couple good drops in that week, so they closed out shorts. I mean, the week is, look how far above we are. Oh, we've hit $35. There's our floor in silver. That's the 100-day moving average, $35. If you want to know, oh my God, the downside for silver is, $10 like it used to be. It's not. Because anything under $33, $35, you got India, you got China, you got Russia, you got any hedge fund, there's waiting below. That's the good buy. The proper way to go, you're buying it, the lows, and then you're going to sell at the highs or whatever you're going to do with it. India, historically, over the past 5 years, has only bought when it's below, in quantity, when it's below the moving averages. But it hasn't been below the moving averages almost all year. They bought in here and they bought in here. They only have 70 million ounces, whereas last year they had 250 million. Now, it could be a couple things. It could be that, the price, the bad guys haven't pushed it below those moving averages. That could be one. The other thing is, it could be that there's not enough silver there. It's just not available. Really good kind of look. Thank you, Mr. Uppy on X. COMEX silver inventories just hit 506 million ounces, an all-time high. This is the calm before the storm. When silver runs, it rips faces off. Why don't you own any yet? Well, I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody who's been following me for the last 25 years, well, for cryptos, it's been the last, when did I get in? 2013. The last 12 years, no, you need a proper amount of cryptos and silver. Now, silver hasn't seen the explosive growth that Bitcoin has and a lot of the cryptos have. And that's because it's been price suppressed for 170 years. Cryptos are rigged. Don't get me wrong. They are rigged to the upside and the downside. And the U.S. government has already admitted that. But not to the extent of being held down for 170 years. That's why I'm fairly positive when silver is let free of the manipulation, removed from the COMEX, the futures and options that trade 500 million ounces a day of fake silver. Once removed from that, we will get closer to a fair market value. Cliff at one point called it unobtainium because it doesn't matter what you pay. Silver hits $1,000. It doesn't matter what you pay, you can't get it. And a lot of these manufacturers, like Apple and Sony and Samsung and all the electronics and all the the solar panel manufacturers, they use it in not solar, but the other manufacturers, they use it in mostly small amounts. Like there's 1/100th of an ounce. People use 1/100th of an ounce for a cell phone. There's some silver in there, because it's the best conductor of electricity. It's used in solder. It's used in all these things, and everything that's dug out of the ground is now consumed and more. So yeah, I think we're getting there. We are getting there. But the most important thing is that to understand that the artificial short position is massive. I mean, 8 traders own 50% of the short position. That's unheard of. So we'll see what happens. Very exciting times. All right. And then I look at the iShares Silver Trust. This is SLV, the criminal ETF that says it is adding an ounce of silver for every share created, but on the backside of that, they use it as a fake hedge so that they can put silver shorts on. The CFTC seems, what's left of the CFTC, there's only 2 people there yet left, and it's a JP Morgan person and a Citibank person, which is kind of ridiculous. And the head of the OCC for big banks is the ex-JP Morgan guy. I mean, that's what they do. They put their people in positions of power and regulation. Do you know who the number 1 regulator of the banks is? The Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve that was created by and for banks. Anyway, very interesting. And when you see this data right here from the COMEX warehouses, you see it's mostly in 2025. It went from like 350 or 320 to 506. It's a couple, almost 200 million ounces. But where'd it come from? Well, I think one of the places that they claim it is SLV. Of that, 500 and SLV has 533 million ounces in it right now. And where is it all stored? It is all stored in COMEX warehouses, either in London or in the U.S. All these approved warehouses, they store all the silver. So of that silver in inventory, over 500 million ounces, it's all spoken for. Not only that, go over to London and you look where did all the London silver go? At the beginning of the JP Morgan lease to Bank of America rig job, which was 2021 round, we're looking at 1.2, almost exactly what Bank of America did the lease for, 1.2 billion ounces. And now we're down to 778 million ounces. So where did that silver go? Well, we know some of it went across the seas, or it's a paper contract. Who knows if there's really metal in there? A lot of people think, no, they lie. Or they say, well, 99% of it is not eligible, but they call it eligible. We do see it taking longer and longer to deliver. So if it's eligible in COMEX warehouses, why would it take any extra time to deliver if it's already sitting there in a COMEX warehouse? Jenny talked about that, not in that specific form, but she talked about the kind of extension of these contractual obligations because they just don't have the silver. And here you see the volumes. Volumes are finally coming down after the last 5 days. I mean, down, it's still over 300 million ounces a day is traded. It's a fraud, it's a con, but we're looking at right now 70,000 contracts, 350 million ounces that could be delivered at any time. What they do, as Jeffrey Christian would love to tell you, that, this is just normal market behavior. All the shorts roll over to the next delivery month and things like that. It's really low, actually. I think 350 million ounces at this point, halfway through the month when next month's a delivery month, is really low. So I don't expect to see much physical silver being delivered unless something drastic happens between now and then. And that delivery starts, I think it's the end of August or the beginning of September. I think it's the end of August. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's half of what they did last time. Last time they did 35 million ounces on the first day, and then they added another 15 million ounces when they got it finally. Now we have September. What are they going to do? 20 million ounces and add another 5 million ounces. I mean, we're literally running out of silver. That's why, although you look at data like this and you say, oh my God, it's off the charts. Well, how much of that silver is available at less than $500? I don't know. Clearly not all of it. Not everyone would sell their silver at $500. As a matter of fact, if you look at the way U.S. investors invest, they chase shiny objects. As silver's rising, there's going to be more and more people on the retail side trying to get it. Right now, the retail side is dead. It's the wholesale side that's taking hundreds of millions of ounces, and they need it. I mean, Russia needs a massive amount. They already claimed they're going to start adding silver to their stockpiles within their Treasury Department. Woo! I mean, that's war. In the past, we would have nuked them for saying that. China, we know, is the largest importer of silver, but they mainly do like silver doré bars, which is like the I don't know how much is 80% silver coming out of the mines, and then it gets refined in China. And China like goes right to the mine. They don't even. I think they would rather have the price stay low on the COMEX, the rigging market, because that's the banker's Achilles heel. Anyway, that's what I got for you. You want more information? Go to roadrooda.com. Use the search button. Go check out that first page if you don't know what I'm talking about. Right now, for private road membership, we're giving away 1 Veritaseum token. That ever-elusive Veritaseum. In the Road to Rooda theory, it is one of the solutions that will be offered to the people after the crash. Do you want to go back to JP Morgan running things and rigging things? Do you want to go back to Fidelity and Schwab running things and rigging things? Do you want to go back to the U.S. Treasury? How about peer-to-peer transactions? That's what Reggie invented. And there is, I mean, a few things point to this might actually work out for Veritaseum. I call it a lottery ticket because it was always a long shot. Definitely Cliff is walked back his 1-to-1 with Bitcoin prediction. I wouldn't do that. You know, how important would it be if we do need a new system that is not beholden to the criminal cabal that runs the system now? As far as like, you know, XRP won't be around. There's no need for XRP outside of the current banking system. And everybody, I mean, if you look at, it's really coming to a time you got to look at what the banks own. If the banks really do have to liquidate as much as they can by law, if they're about to fold, everybody will be liquidating the same thing because they all bought the same thing. Now the banks have quite a bit of Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor, he is a public corporation, is where he holds his Bitcoin. So what happens in a meltdown? He will have to sell all his Bitcoin and liquidate it at one time to stay solvent. Which, because he did take out leverage loans and things like that. I mean, this is big for crypto people. Crypto people think, oh no, if the old fiat system goes away, then we got cryptos. No, the collapse of the global financial system would collapse cryptos as well. At least the exchanges, you won't know what is worth what. And then all the DeFi coins that Reggie has the patent to, who knows? So who knows what's going on in the future? From the Road to Rooda standpoint, the plan is to destroy the old system via derivatives and start fresh. No more debt, which would be lovely. No more state debt, local debt, federal debt, individual debt. That would be lovely. But there's chaos, I would argue there's chaos now for those of you in debt. Those of us in debt. And it'll just get worse. And we can't kick the can down any longer, so just back off on the rigging and it implodes the system. I think Trump's the only guy who could do that, at least so far in the lineup of presidents since the beginning of the United States of America. Maybe George Washington could have done it, or Thomas Jefferson. But in modern-day presidents in the last 150 years, I would say there's nobody even comes close to having the balls to do what needs to be done, which is, as Catherine Austin Fitts likes to say, press that red button. And what that red button does, it just stops the manipulation and then lets things fall where they fall. In 2008, we were hours away from everything collapsing. we should never have reliquidated the entire financial system with trillions of dollars. And now we're going to have that decision again. And which way will Congress vote? I don't know. They might all be in jail from the Epstein stuff. So it's all coming together. As to when, I don't know. As to the price of silver, it could go to minus $40. It could go to $1 million an ounce. Nobody really knows the true fair market value of silver. That's why I like to link it to gold. How much gold is there? How much silver is there on the planet? Right now, it's about 6 billion ounces of each. That screams 1-to-1 ratio, except I know there's a hell of a lot more gold than they're telling you, and there's not 6 billion ounces of silver available. Anyway, I can't tell you the day. I can't tell you the time. I mean, what did Rooda write in the sand back in 2007? She wrote 9/11. In 2008, on 9/11, we were hours away. Could it be this September 11th again? Yeah, maybe. But I haven't seen new signs other than, it's clear. It should be clear to everybody and freaky that Rooda wrote in the sand 9/11 in January of 2008, January 1st, and then in 2007, and then on September 11th, 2008, that's when the markets crashed, that very day. And Senator Kanjorski told us we had hours. We had hours to make a move, and had we not done that, everything would have been imploded. Which is where we have to go through to move to a free world and a free nation, especially in the United States. Anyway, that's what I got for you. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you guys later.